Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, waking up to the truth of who you are is about seeing things as they are. Seeing things as they are means seeing the nature of the consciousness and seeing the nature of the contents that appears in the consciousness. And you are consciousness. The nature of the consciousness is conscious and empty. So your nature is conscious and empty. And to actualize who you are, you have to disengage from the contents that appears in you. Right now, who you think of who you are is the contents. Contents means the mind. Mind is your preference, your belief, your identification with the experience. So you don't accept or you don't see you are consciousness, because the content is so powerful that makes you forget who you are, and that forgetfulness is already there. Now you being part of the spiritual practice, you hear you are consciousness. Now you're conceptually, mentally, you're accepting you are consciousness. But that doesn't do anything, because you already have so much ingrained conditioning in you: physical conditioning, mental conditioning, emotional conditioning, and further is the psychological conditioning. You're conditioned to the contents that appears in the consciousness. Everything you have gone through in your life is the contents. It starts with an experience. You're experiencing the world, and everything you experience leaves the residue as an idea. And they are your memories, and you see those as the likes and dislikes. And right now you remember the peak experience. The peak experience that created a real shift in your life, which brought a growth, upgrades, and also you remember the peak experience in a negative sense as well. But you try to ignore the negative stuff and you hold on to the positive stuff. And right now who you are is the peak upgrade of your mind. You identify yourself with that. Again, whatever you go through in life always leaves the residue as an idea or a belief or a preference. And who you are is that. Not just that, now you see, when you identify yourself with something, you are also trying to make it permanent. You try to make it permanent out of the changing nature. And that brings the struggle in life. Your ego is trying to make you make something permanent, holding on to something And that's ego. Ego wants to hold on to something and add on to that. And that's who you are right now, isn't it? Again, when we are holding on to something that is changing in nature, you have to put an effort. Effort to maintain it. Effort to maintain something to make yours. It's mine. It's mine. Or I. Every effort is adding into mine, my, I. And that's already who you are. And that is about associating with the contents that appears in the consciousness. Another way to see this is consciousness is like a sponge. Okay? It's like the sponge. And all the experience you have gone through in life is like a wet paint. And when the consciousness is aware of the experience soaks up in the consciousness, comes in the consciousness. And again, if you pause and reflect on this, you'll see that. And this reflection is this: everything you have gone through in life is in you, isn't it? It's in you. You don't remember some of the stuff, but it's still there. You only remember the peak experience. But everything you have gone through in life is being aware by you. And that is the consciousness itself. Consciousness is the background aspect. And contents, they appears on the consciousness. So how to actualize consciousness, how to see the nature of the consciousness, is by disengaging yourself from the contents. But you are not able to disengage yourself from the contents that appears in you because you have become that. And the way to disengage from the contents of the contents that appears in the consciousness is by looking into the content itself and investigating it. And in the spiritual journey, the content is the mind. We have to investigate on the mind to see the nature of the mind. And how to see the nature of the mind is by tracing the mind backward. You see your mind as true, it's real. Now, is it really true? Is it really unchanging? Or you just picked it up along the line? To see that, you have to trace it back. What's the nature of the mind? So, to see the nature of the mind, and from there to actualize who you are, fuck, to so how to disengage yourself from the contents that appears in the consciousness is by doing the math on the contents. The contents is the mind, and you associated with the mind. You are the mind. Right now, when you ask, who am I? You identify yourself with the mind, isn't it? Especially the upgraded mind. You are that. And because of that, you are struggling. You identify yourself with the mind, and you're trying to make this permanent, and not realizing that what you're identifying is the changing in nature, and you're forcing yourself to make it permanent is making you suffer. And you're trying to make something permanent out of the changing nature already shows that you're acting out of fear. Because if you don't have the identification, who you are is nobody, nothing. And your ego doesn't want to be nothing. The ego wants to be something. Ego is about becoming something. Ego don't want to be nobody. And that is already a contradiction with your nature. Who you are is a conscious and empty. And right now, who you are is the mind, who is afraid of emptiness. So the calling for freedom is there, but also the contradiction is there because of the ego self. Right now, who you are, ego self. Ego self is the conditioned self, the experienced self, which is basically comes from the experiencing the world. So anyway, how to see the nature of the consciousness and the nature of the contents that appears in the consciousness is by doing the math, by investigating your mind. Investigating your mind to see the nature of the mind. So you identify yourself with the mind, you have to ask yourself why. Why is the simple way to trace the mind backward to its root. And you have to uproot the root as well. The awakening journey is about peeling the mind to go to the no mind. No mind means who you are. So tracing the mind back is the go to the no mind. Adding something in the mind is about expanding the mind. Expanding the mind is about staying away from who you are. And right now you are already doing that. Because of that, whatever you have achieved is still not satisfactory. It's not bringing the peace of mind. Doesn't dissolve the fear in you, isn't it? So you try upgrading the mind. It's not working. The only choice you got is to try subtracting the mind. And it sounds paradoxical. This process sounds paradoxical because the world, to participate in the world, is about refining the mind, upgrading the mind. And when your life has always been like that, then giving up the mind is opposite, which is again paradoxical. And this is where people are scared of this journey, giving up the mind. Giving up the mind is scary for the ego self. And when you are scared, notice the awareness in you is aware of you being scared. That means the ego self is being scared. Again, the ego is about attachment. Ego is about prolonging the drama, prolonging the game. So, if you prolong the game, yes, you have the fun as well and struggle as well. But that never brings you the complete ease in you. The only way to find the complete ease in you, to be free from your fear, is by dissolving the mind. You can only dissolve the mind when you see the truth of who you are. As consciousness, conscious and empty. And again, to become empty, you have to peel the mind. That's the only way. That's my journey. So for my journey, I'm telling you, subtracting the mind or dismantling the mind is the only way to figure out the truth of who you are. So right now, if you're interested, right now, whatever preference you have or whatever attachment you have, you ask yourself this question: why do I have this preference? Whatever preference in the moment you're trying to maintain, okay? Don't worry about, special preference. Whatever moment is unfolding as a preference or as a fear or as an attachment, okay? You look into your moment. Ask yourself, why am I attached to whatever you're right now attached to? Or whatever preference you're preferring. Why am I associated with that? So it's this simple why is going to help you to trace the mind backward. And you'll figure out, if you trace it back, you'll figure out the root cause of your surface movement of preferring something or being scared, or the reason for your attachment. The root is the conditioned mind, is the conditioned body as well. It's the conditioned, ingrained belief in you that is making you move in a certain way. And life is already happening like that. Now, you have to dismantle your fear, dismantle your ingrained belief as well. So you ask yourself, why do I have this? Why do I have this ingrained belief in me, ingrained preference in me that is making you, act in a certain way? Why? Why are you moving from this route? And then this why is going to help you to trace your mind further back, and tracing it back will lead you to no mind. Definitely, when you're tracing back, eventually you see a fear as well. And when you start to see the fear, that's where you have to stay aware to see the extension of the fear. So, simple why is going to help you start from the surface, take you to the root, and you have to dismantle the root as well. And that's the way to, figure out the truth of who you are. The journey to waking up to the truth of who you are is about witnessing yourself, tracing your mind backward, and asking yourself, who am I? So when you trace your mind today, today is just a start for you, or some of you have been doing it for a while. So you have to trace your mind backward in all aspects of your life, all the fights that you go through internally, all the mental ripples that you see, you have to trace it back. It starts with the gross level of the preference. Then when you start to work, then you catch your subtle, then you catch the subtlest. When you catch all the the inner turns of the mind, when you are thorough of your mind, that prepares you to catch your true self. And that thoroughness, when the thoroughness is there, and when you ask yourself, who am I? And that's where you catch yourself. That's where you realize that your ego self cannot comprehend the truth, and that's where you give up. To catch yourself, that ego cannot comprehend the truth, you have to be thorough. You have to dismantle mind. Without dismantling the mind, you're not able to see that the ego cannot comprehend the truth. You won't be able to catch this. Even you are hearing this has just become the ideas in you. Your mind is expanding with this. And truth of who you are is about dissolving the mind, not expanding the mind. Okay, so whatever spiritual stuff you have here, your mind is getting bigger. The ego is getting bigger. So, getting bigger in the mind is moving away from the truth, moving away from who you are. You're just getting lost in the contents that appears in the consciousness. And freedom is about recognizing the canvas that's allow the contents to appear and dissolves. So that's that, guys. Okay, I hope this video makes sense to you. Ultimately, you have to work on yourself, and the real work is witnessing yourself, dismantling your mind, and asking yourself, who am I? And the main crucial part of the spiritual journey is dismantling. That is 99% of the spiritual work. Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now.